Imagine this. A man known for his unmatched agility, dancing around opponents with grace, suddenly reduced to fighting for his health because of a single bizarre encounter. Muhammad Ali, the heavyweight king, stepped into a ring in 1976, not against a boxer, but a wrestler. What followed wasn't just a spectacle, but a battle that left Ali's legs battered, his blood vessels damaged, and his career forever marked. This is the story of how one fight changed everything. It all started in the summer of 1976, 8 months after the boxer's heated rival Joe Frazier didn't answer the bell for round 15 of the Thrilla in Manila. Ali had hit the peak of his worldwide fame. The timing made sense for New Japan Pro Wrestling, Inoki's promotional company, to find a way to lure Ali to Japan. That meant financing the match, which included spending nearly $24,000, more than $100,000 in 2015 values, over 11 nights in lodging and food costs for the heavyweight champion and his sizable entourage. Less than a week before Ali arrived in Tokyo, Inoki gave the press a guided tour of the penthouse where the greatest was booked to stay. Ali's imperial suite, priced at a princely $400 a night, boasted 7 rooms. I don't have to do this, but I will, as I consider Ali to be the greatest boxer in the world, said Japan's most famous grappler. The layout befits a personality of his standing. Then, with cameras clicking, Inoki punched the bed Ali would sleep in. Even after Ali's arrival, and with the event mere days away, few people interested in watching knew whether the match would be a lighthearted pro wrestling exhibition or a true mixed rules competition. Ali's camp operated as if the match was a shoot, a legitimate contest, and late into fight week still attempted to negotiate as favorable a set of rules as possible for their guy. The general consensus was that it was crazy for Ali to step away from boxing to tangle up with a wrestler. Everyone from trainer Angelo Dundee to Dr. Ferdy Pacheco to promoter Bob Arum thought it was stupid for the most famous boxer of all time to meet a grappler skilled enough to twist arms or slam heads, who, more to the point, was empowered to do so. I didn't want him to do it, Kilroy said. Ali was going into his sport. Inoki wasn't going into Ali's sport. Still, Ali did what he wanted and agreed to compete against a grappler, thus fulfilling a long-held desire to know what it is to take on a wrestler. Only notorious hype man Drew Bundini Brown, convinced the boxer could easily finish Inoki, egged Ali on. As the June 26th bout neared, hardcore pro wrestling and boxing fans, Ali supporters, and martial arts aficionados in small, passionate pockets speculated about the matchup and its legitimacy. Even though the boxer held some hope that the whole thing would end up a work, in pro wrestling parlance, a match with a predetermined outcome, talk of that evaporated months earlier after Vince McMahon Sr., a patriarch of American pro wrestling, approached Ali's camp with the idea. McMahon wanted Ali to throw the fight, but Ali didn't do it. That's the truth. That never got out. Throw is a sports term that connotes corruption. For an assortment of crooked reasons, it continues to happen everywhere. McMahon told Ali he should take the fall and get pinned. The boxer responded that he went down for no man who couldn't make him. The fact that, at the apex of his popularity, Ali preferred the risk of a real fight over scripted outcomes spoke to his state of mind as a competitor. When the hybrid rules bout was officially announced at a press conference in New York City on May 5th, 1976, Arum proclaimed that the match would sell more closed TV seats than any fight event in history. It will be bigger than the Foreman-Joe Frazier fight and all 3 of the Ali Frazier bouts. 2 nights before arriving in Tokyo, Ali asserted on The Tonight Show how serious this fight was to him. Boxing is old news. We're in a new field now. We're going to Japan to take on this Antonio Inoki, the world's heavyweight karate wrestling champion. This is a whole new thing. People have always wondered, how would a boxer do with a wrestler? I've always wanted to fight a wrestler. I've seen them grabbing each other, throwing each other down, and twisting each other's arm. Now I'm going to get a chance to do it. I predict this will outsell all of my fights, and everybody should watch this fight. Listen, I'm going to play the ropes. We're going 15 rounds, 3-minute rounds. He's allowed to use his bare fists. He's allowed to use karate. No punching in the eyes and no hitting below the belt. There's $10 million involved, he said, which was an exaggeration since he agreed to a purse of $6.1 million, while Inoki was set to take home in the neighborhood of $2 million. Ticket prices at the Nippon Budokan Arena were exorbitant. Yet, with Ali involved, the fight was a sellout. Ringside seats for regular wrestling shows at the Budokan were 5,000 yen, roughly $17 at the time. For the Ali Inoki Rumble, that price put fans in the nosebleeds of a 14,000-seat building. The face value of the most expensive ticket available to the public was $1,000, $4,100 today. Sponsors could access royal ringside seats for 3 times that price. Everyone thought the Japanese wrestling people were just making noise because there was no way in hell this was ever going to happen. And they actually announced it, and everyone was stunned. There was always in wrestling historically this idea of boxer versus a wrestler, going back to Strangler Lewis and Jack Dempsey. It never happened, probably because when the boxers started training with real wrestlers, it was like, wow, this is a really dumb idea. By the summer of America's 200th birthday, when fans gathered in arenas across the globe to watch Ali fight Inoki, a sense of excitement brewed on all sides. Ali was the best boxer on the planet, the greatest of all time, and anything he did received huge attention. But this was unique, something mysterious, and that made it potentially something bigger. Ali's presence in the match made people across Japan stop whatever it was they were doing to watch. This is precisely what Inoki wanted. While the businessman who put up the money saw fortune, the ambitious wrestler envisioned his name being exposed to the wider world. Up to that point, he was largely anonymous outside of Japan. Inoki touched fame in Asia, and some diehard stateside pro wrestling fans knew of him, but his ego demanded a larger audience, so he set out to find one. There are numerous examples of great wrestlers chasing fights with great boxers. There are far fewer examples of great boxers chasing great wrestlers, but that's what Ali seemed to have in mind. Ali's interest in Inoki's offer hinged, of course, on a massive payday. But his love of professional wrestling and the notion that the boxer versus wrestler debate had not been settled were quite compelling to Ali. That was particularly true, he explained, because a boxer of his caliber, in his prime, taking on a top-form wrestler was rare. The possibility of what might happen wasn't much of a mystery, though. Documented mixed-style fights date as far back as the days of antiquity, when Athens and Rome cradled civilizations, and the results suggested grapplers held a significant edge when allowed to ply their trade. More than a few Cassius Clay watchers suggested that because he moved around the ring so much, the sleek 20-year-old might not trust his chin. Due mostly to locomotion, it's true, the attention-grabbing fighter hadn't been hurt during his first 16 months as a pro. The man's legs, so long as they were strong underneath him, were his first line of defense, in that they got him to where he wanted to be faster than he could get touched. And yet this is where some critics conjured questions regarding Ali's potential. Ali was also well aware that professional wrestling was a work with prearranged finishes designed to tell a good story. What Ali didn't know was that in his case, Inoki had no intentions of working Muhammad Ali. As far as Inoki was concerned, Ali's boasts were an insult to his country and his people. Inoki was a professional wrestler, but he was also a shooter, and he had every intention of humbling the heavyweight champion of the world. Ali's doctor, Ferdy Pacheco, said, Ali's fight in Tokyo was basically a Bob Arum thought-up scam that was going to be ha-ha, ho-ho. We're going to go over there, it's going to be orchestrated, it's going to be a lot of fun, and it's just a joke. Well, when they got over there, they found out no one was laughing. Ali's managers had reasons to be worried. The 1975 Thrilla in Manila versus Joe Frazier had taken a huge toll on Ali's body. In total, Ali had taken punishment from 7 Hall of Fame fighters in his career. Doctors began advising the champ in 1975 that he needed to hang up the gloves sooner rather than later, citing severe damage to brain and kidney tissue as their chief concerns. Ali would continue to ignore this advice for another 5 years, facing one more Hall of Famer, Larry Holmes, on his way out. With Arum's reassurances that the champ would suffer no real damage, Ali made his way to Japan in the summer of 1976 for what he believed would be a fun and easy payday. Ali even brought a special guest along to be his ringside manager, another of his childhood wrestling heroes, classy Freddie Blassie. Ali arrived on June 16th, and the two competitors met for the first time at a lunch party for the media. Ali gave one of his trademark speeches telling the world what he would do to Inoki at Nippon Budokan Arena. He nicknamed Inoki the Pelican because of Inoki's big bullseye chin. Inoki responded, "When your fist connects with my chin, take care that your fist is not damaged." Inoki also handed Ali a gift, a wooden crutch to use after Inoki threw him from the ring. There are conflicting stories as to how and when it was decided the match would be a shoot. Some in Ali's camp claim that they were sold on the match being a work, but that Ali balked at the plan when he was told that Inoki expected him to lose. Fight journalist Jim Murphy says the finish called for Ali to accidentally knock out the ref. Ali would then check on the ref's condition, allowing Inoki to get the quick roll-up for a pin. Inoki would get the victory, but Ali would save face by being the good guy, concerned for the safety of the ref. Inoki's camp insisted the match was always intended to be a work. Ali only learned of this when he went to see Inoki train. "Okay, so when do we do the rehearsal?" Ali asked. No, this isn't an exhibition," replied Inoki. "It's a real fight." However, the decision revelation took place. Ali's team went to work renegotiating the rules of the fight. Ali, being the bigger name, had the upper hand in these negotiations, and the rules came out very one-sided. Inoki would not be allowed to suplex Ali. He could not headbutt Ali, knee him below the belt, use open hands, or kick Ali above the belt. Inoki was disappointed. Essentially, Ali's people wanted him to go into the ring and be a punching bag. Inoki decided to take the matter lying down, literally. The result was one of the most memorable, boring, and embarrassing bouts in fight history. As soon as the bell rang, Inoki slid on his back and started to kick Ali. Inoki stayed there for most of the first round, keeping Ali and his deadly fists at bay by kicking wildly at the champ's legs. The awkward battle continued round after round, with Inoki staying low and aiming for Ali's legs, his only viable means of offense. In the sixth, Ali tried to grab Inoki's leg. Inoki brought his other leg up, tripped Ali to the mat, and sat on his chest. Ali didn't even throw a punch until the seventh round. He continued to dodge Inoki's feet, waving his arms and yelling at Inoki to fight like a man. Inoki knew better and stayed flat on the mat. In the eighth, Ali's manager, Angelo Dundee, asked that the boots on Inoki's feet be taped. The shoelaces had cut Ali's legs, and it was clear Ali's legs were taking a brutal beating. By the time Ali stepped into the ring with Inoki, he felt enough hard shots to be too familiar with the full-body jar that punctuates a clean hit. Throughout Ali's career, the ability to endure punishment proved to be both a blessing and a curse, which is why absorbing punches isn't high on his list of attributes. But it was nonetheless true and tested several times before, during, and after the peak of his fame. The match went to the 15-round time limit and was declared a draw. Inoki would have actually won the match if not for losing 3 points on a foul. Angry fans in the Budokan chanted for their money back. The two men collected their payday, and the sports press of the world left the match shaking their collective heads over the fiasco. The match was an embarrassment for Ali, but the damage went far deeper than merely hurting his public reputation. Ali's legs were in terrible condition, and the champ suffered 2 blood clots from Inoki's pounding feet. Ali is bleeding from the legs, recalled Bob Arum. He gets an infection in his legs, almost has to have an amputation. Not only the Ken Norton fight would have been not happening, but Ali could have been a cripple for the rest of his life. Ali refused to seek immediate medical treatment or to curb his schedule, which included exhibition matches in South Korea and the Philippines. After completing his Asian trip, he spent a few weeks in the hospital back in Los Angeles. In September, Ali stepped back into the ring with Ken Norton. Although Ali won the match by unanimous decision, it was clear he was not the same man he once was. Ali had lost a step, and he would never again win a match by knockout. 5 years later, Ali hung up the gloves for good. 2 decades in the ring took a sad toll on the former champ's body, but in retirement, Ali continued to use his status as the most popular athlete in the world to fight for justice and world peace. The battle between the world's greatest boxer and Japan's greatest wrestler may not have high regard in the memory of sports fans, but foreshadowed a change in the fighting sports. While boxing has steadily declined in popularity and wrestling has seen its ups and downs, mixed martial arts has become the rage. UFC, Bellator, and other MMA promotions are now making millions by pitting fighters with diverse backgrounds against one another. What was once seen as a novelty is now a weekly ritual for fight fans. MMA has even allowed some professional wrestlers, most notably Brock Lesnar, to show the world that not all professional wrestlers are mere actors. While the Ali Inoki match is not acknowledged in Ali's museum, there's a very nice epilogue to their story. In 1998, Inoki faced Don Frye in the final of a series of matches dubbed the Final Countdown. In honor of his former opponent, Muhammad Ali flew to Japan to witness his former adversary's last match. After the match ended, Ali climbed into the ring to hug the man who had become his friend. A representative for Ali read a message from the champ. It was 1976 when I fought Antonio Inoki at the Budokan. In the ring, we were tough opponents. After that, we built love and friendship with mutual respect. So I feel a little less lonely now that Antonio has retired. It is my honor to be standing on the ring with my good friend after 22 years. Our future is bright and has a clear vision. Antonio Inoki and I put our best efforts into making world peace through sports, to prove there is only one mankind beyond the sexual, ethnical, or cultural differences. It is my pleasure to come here today. As strange and controversial as the Ali versus Inoki bout was, it's a testament to the greatness of both men that their legacies remain untarnished. Muhammad Ali, the icon of boxing, and Antonio Inoki, the legend of wrestling, each brought their own brilliance to a match that was far ahead of its time. What many dismissed as a spectacle has, in hindsight, become a pivotal moment in combat sports history. Some argue that this unusual showdown planted the seeds for what would later become mixed martial arts, a sport that now challenges both boxing and wrestling for global dominance. Ali and Inoki may have stepped into that ring with entirely different intentions, but what they left behind was a story that transcended their era. 2 Hall of Famers, 2 pioneers, and one fight that continues to spark curiosity decades later.